The golf swing has evolved. We see that with things like Sportbox, TrackMan, 3D analysis, all of those ingredients that are really giving us an insight into how the golfer is moving around the golf ball. And most notably, we've talked so often about how a golfer will recenter themselves at the top. Yesteryear, we saw big slides of leg action. Today, I wanted to share with you how you can stop sliding into the golf ball that really causes those fat strikes and even the odd heel strike. I've got a few ideas that will really help your ball striking. Let's get to it. Recentering is very much how the lower half of the body at the top of the backswing really starts to move into the middle. Sometimes for golfers actually starts to move back towards the target compared to where they started. So if they started at address in this spot, some golfers actually start their downswing with themselves to the left. Now the thing with that is that it encourages the club path immediately to start to work more from the inside. For those of you that believe that moving off of the golf ball at the top of your backswing really encourages golfers to swing across the back of the golf ball, not swing from the inside of the golf ball. You can see just by changing where I was at the top of my backswing, shifted my club path from either being 10 degrees from the inside or 10 degrees from the outside. And you can see that from the club path value on the screen here. Now, if you're starting to work on recentering at the top of your backswing and you are a golfer that look like John Barnes or some of the greats of the game, and I say that because the greats of the game have had big slides of leg action, but that's not to say that they were as powerful as the modern day player. The slide of the legs equally has the opportunity to move the golf club from the inside, moving the golf club from the inside, but of course that's before strike. All of a sudden we've now got energy moving into the left leg here that actually makes the left knee flex more, which blocks the hip off because lengthening the leg opens the hip up, blocks the leg off. This is your big leg slide, and all of a sudden you're now in a trapped position here where you're from the inside, and all of a sudden trying to get the golf ball becomes a little bit tricky. You start to hit the ball fat and you start to really hit some strikes that get scarily close out to the heel. Therefore, in the downswing, we're almost looking for that lower half to start clearing very early on in the downswing to enable the club this opportunity to swing back inside. I did a cracking little video last week. You want to check that one out, that talks about ball compression and how the handle height really works around the golf ball to facilitate a lot of that with the handle. And this pressure on the handle that I talk about extensively in my content really comes from this lower half and how it stops your legs from sliding, really stops us moving sideways. So now I've got a golfer more centered at the top. Now I've got some energy on this left leg. With the energy in this left leg, the pushing back of that left leg, the energy going away from the target, me feeling like I'm actually pushing away from the target is very much the ingredient that allows my hip to open up and my right shoulder to come forwards, which again is a bone of contention with many golfers that they talk about, oh, Stuart, I get my right shoulder over the top of it and I really start to come outside in. Well, here's the news flash, folks. That right shoulder coming forwards is an absolute necessity. My handle is forwards, my handle is forwards, my shoulder is forwards, my shoulder is forwards, but look, the club head is still inside the ball line, and at that point I can now start to increase the pressure in the handle to hit the golf ball from the inside. So that right shoulder coming forwards is absolutely essential to allowing the hip to work backwards. Or is it the other way around? Does the hip move backwards to encourage the shoulder forwards? I think they both happen at the same time. So this left leg that we've loaded up in that backswing, that force in the backswing, that we can now start to push back, is really going to start to open up your hip action. With the handle pressure down underneath the golfer, as I say, it really starts to get that path from in to in. But I've got a little drill here that's going to help you feel it even more. So I want you to set up to the golf ball. I want you to then step towards the target. Bring your right foot back to your left foot. And then what you're going to do is you're going to make a backswing, keeping your feet close together. You're not going to move your feet. So absolutely, we've got ourselves in a situation where I can keep myself very centered. I really take away the opportunity to move off of the golf ball because my base of support is so narrow. Now, as I make a backswing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the golf club down and I'm going to step to the right. I'm going to pull the golf club down and I'm going to step to the right. This is crucial. You don't step to the right or away from the target until you start moving the golf club down. So you take the club up to the top, you start moving the golf club down and you step to the right at the same time. Can you now see how my left hip has gone back? Now, if you're a golfer that's had a prolific slide into the golf ball, can you see the difference between where your left hip is and where my left hip is? And you'll see the greats of the game with their left hip moving back now, using that left leg. So we set up to the golf ball, we drag the right foot in, we make a backswing. I'm going to step back and I'm going to hit the golf ball. And what you'll start to see is a path line that starts to move outside in. TrackMan didn't get the data. Let's have another go at that. Gives us all a chance to take it in some more. Step across, up to the top. I'm going to start to move the golf club down and hit the ball. And at that point, the club, as I say, will swing across the back of the golf ball. And depending on where your face is, it'll either fade to the right, draw to the left, or pull to the left. In that point, that swing, I had my path line outside in 6 degrees, but my face was square to my path, which was a flat pull, but I hit down at 4 degrees. Now that's interesting for a lot of you because seeing me sit back, you would think that I'm going to hit up on the ball. But actually the reality is that because my left hip stays low, my right hip is higher, it then gives me the opportunity to get the handle going high to low, high to low. Look at how that face is starting to line back up here. And at that point, I've now got a club handle that's moving forwards and around. Now you say, well, sure, I don't want to be 6 outside in. I'm not saying you should be. All I'm saying is how you then manage that recentering feeling that so many golfers talk about. So as you've recentered at the top, you now pull and push that energy back in that direction in the same way as you did when you stepped to the right. So you go up to the top of the backswing, I pull on the golf club, and I start to push force back away from the target, which will really start to move me more around the golf ball. Now the reality is when I do start to push back, there is no way on God's earth that you will be able to actually push yourself back and offset. If you're tired of paying too much for your premium leather golf gloves, head over to gxgolfgloves.com. These are gloves trusted by tour players and elite amateurs alike. Use my code GOODCOACHING to receive 10% off your next order. Go try them out. You won't be disappointed. The amount of energy you are pulling with the golf club into the ball, you will actually end up with a very neutral leg action. You'll actually see my left hip starts to move around itself and even still get a little bit of forward motion, but I can assure you that I'm actually pushing back and away from the target. But I've built it up from layers of understanding on how I'm using my feet. And if you want to learn how to use your feet, go check out that rotation video because that is pivotal. So think about how that step to the right drill comes about, why we do it. That's why I explained a lot of it at the start. And then we got into that drill at the end there that's really going to help you. I think you'll find There's a lot of good energy that's going to come from your feet. That's going to drive your hip rotation and create some really great body speed. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate all of you out there. Do consider subscribing right here, and that, my friends, is good coaching.